Okay, today we're going to talk about the power rule of your graph. So I'm going to just go ahead and see about trying to create a pattern for you. So if you have an equation, something like this, hopefully at this point you'll see that the power here is just a 1 without having it written as power of 1. So as you can see, that is just a plain linear function. So now let's look at something like this with a power of 2. So you notice the reason why it's power of 2 is because the exponent is 2. And you'll have a function something that looks like this. And then when you have a graph, or sorry, equation y is equal to x cubed, you see that power would be 3. And so the cubic function looks like something like this. And then when you have a power, or to the 4th power, so you see squared and to the 4th, there are subtle differences, but they look very similar, but you have a flatter U. At this point, maybe you might notice that there's something going on with the ends here. So when you have something like power to the 1 and power to the 3, so the odd powers will have 2 ends going in opposite directions, whereas an even power will have the ends going in the same direction. Now to continue, if we have, say for example, y is equal to a negative 1x, so that power is still 1, but our coefficient, the a value, is a positive 1. Sorry, negative 1. So this negative. Now how would that affect my graph? My graph then would look like this. Do you notice how the end switches? Instead of going up, the slope goes down. Now how does that affect a quadratic or something to the 2nd power? So if you have y is equal to a negative x squared, again a would be a negative 1, which makes the coefficient a negative 1. How would that affect my parabola? Then you'd end up something like this. You notice how the positive parabola, you end up with a happy parabola, positive 1, and then with a negative quadratic, you end up with a sad parabola, or a negative parabola, or upside down parabola. How does that affect a cubic function? And then again, my a value would be a negative 1, but it's a cubic function. How would that affect it? It would end up looking something like this, a cubic. And then, lastly, to the 4th power, you end up with, yep, you guessed it, an upside down flatter U pattern. So you can see that the odd exponent, again, still has the ends going in opposite direction. And then the positives going in the same direction, but in this case it's going down.